All right, welcome to Well Adjusted. It is Nazi from the Pulse of New Hampshire. Going to bring in Dr. Sam from Infinite Health Family Chiropractic in a moment. And of course, Dr. Sam established Infinite Health Family Chiropractic in order to create health and wellness for his community in which he lives in, and also to educate individuals on the value of a chiropractic lifestyle, something that myself and my family believe in. Now, his mission is to help people realize that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Let's welcome the one, the only, Dr. Sam Ayan, joining us live from which one of the Carolinas are you in right now, Dr. Sam?
We are in South Carolina. I'm here with my wife.
And what's going on in South Carolina?
Nothing. We're visiting family. We're going to go visit over in Wilmington, and then I'm going to visit the chiropractic school where I teach at in Spartanburg, Sherman College, and see if I can connect with some of the teachers, and hopefully maybe in some future show get them on. But also practicing what I preach.
Exactly.
We need to, I call what we call the dream lifestyle. The dream lifestyle is, D stands for diet, and we're going to be talking a little bit about food today, and nutrition, so that's good. R is rest, so this is resting my body so I can do my exercise, which is the E, and get movement in there and healthy. And then adjusting, obviously, adjusting is important. I'll have coverage doctors in my office so that people can continue to get adjusted and continue that road to health. And then M is the mental attitude. So I'm sitting in a wonderful area by a nice creek, and you can hear the water running in the background. So I'm practicing what I preach, and what I think people should do is to take time for themselves and to get healthier, because there is a balance in our lives that we have to address.
And that's one thing that I want to address too is you work pretty much every day of the week, but when you're not adjusting people, you really do have a bunch of different outlets. And I know one of your outlets, you love to play guitar. You have a guitar collection, you love music, and you love camping, getting out into nature, which is so important for you mentally and physically,
That's correct. That's correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, let's meet our guest today. Who's first?
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring in Corey Fletcher from Revival Kitchen, right down in Concord, on Depot Street. Corey, amazing food that they have there. I want to say thank you. And he does a lot of farm to table stuff. And I just want him to talk about a little bit about what's going on with his restaurant, why he chose to open, and also why it's important to support the local farm to table type stuff going on there, and why he thinks that's better than all the processed stuff that we get.
Absolutely. So Corey, first off, welcome to Well Adjusted with Dr.
Thanks for
Sam.
having me.
Yep. And to answer those questions, why did you decide to open?
Well, there's definitely a need in Concord and our surrounding community to support our local agriculture. The demand for knowing where our food comes from has been increasing rapidly over the last 10 years or so. And really, without a support system for farmers to be able to sell all their nutritious, wonderful local food, there needs to be outlets, not just grocery stores. There need to be restaurants to really support the farm to table infrastructure we have in New Hampshire. We could be better at it as a community, but I think shows like this and informing the public why local food is not just good for your body, but it's good for the community, and talking about the balance of life. You need to not just eat well, but you need to mentally be there. So helping to know where your food comes from kind of creates that balance of feel good lifestyle that farm table food helps provide.
That's really cool.
So when you opened up your restaurant, my understanding is that you'll get certain amounts of food, and when you run out of a special or something of that nature, right, you don't just pull out another frozen piece. You have to get a certain amount of food, and then you put the specials out. And is there an example of something that you've made that people think is really popular or that people really enjoy? question.
Well, right now we're kind of in the start of the growing season, so we get a lot of locally foraged items, which are wild and they're not cultivated. So anytime we do like fiddleheads or ramps or wild mushrooms, those are more specialty items, and those haven't.
They're rare.
Now,
Now,
more likely to sell quicker.
So I just learned, and excuse my ignorance, but I just learned what fiddleheads are last week.
Yep.
So what do you make at your restaurant with fiddleheads? Because you're right, they are rare, and you can't have them all year long. So what do you make with fiddleheads?
Honestly, I think they're just good, just the way they are. They're sweet, they're bitter, they're almost like a spinach and asparagus combined in this tight little coil. So there's plenty of nutritional value in there, and a lot of good subtle flavors that I don't like to really mask that. So I either incorporate in with other spring vegetables or just as a side dish to consume that way. So.
Do you steam them, or do you just throw them in a salad, or how do you prepare them?
I usually clean them, blanch them, either a little bit of lemon juice and butter, maybe some garlic and shallot. Salad's a really good way to use those. So
I want to try them.
Yeah, and they're very unique to the New England, New Hampshire area.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about what you do. The play on foods, how you mix, like you take the foods and you match them. I remember, not this past New Year's, obviously because of COVID, but the year before, you did a New Year's thing where it was you paired certain drinks and drinks with certain foods, and it was like you just got, and it was amazing because it wasn't like an overwhelming amount of food, but it was just like you would get a taste of the food and taste it with the drink. I mean, how did you come about thinking about how to match the foods? I mean, where did that come from?
Well, that's really kind of it's a trick question. It's almost like asking you, how do you adjust someone? It's
right. Okay.
Well, it's a slow process. You've got to, you learn it over your career, and we probably make it look a lot easier than some people do because we deal with it every day. A lot of it's instinct and look and taste and touch and feel. You just kind of know.
You know in your head what's going to go with what. Right.
And that's years of trial and error too. So
So that's the expertise that someone who's trying to do this at home would get from your restaurant, and that they could learn how to do that at the restaurant. And that's why you would go to the restaurant, which is, Revival Kitchen. And you had mentioned that presently you're in the process of reopening the kitchen and the deck. Can you give us a little bit about that?
Well, in the year it's been with COVID struggles, we had a hot water heating pipe burst the week of Christmas. And it's been a long road to get to close to being reopening, and we're looking to reopen next week at some point. We've got a handful of little things to tie together, and do some cleaning and staff training and organization, but we'll be, knock on wood, hopefully up and running next week.
And it's one of the few places that actually has outdoor seating in Concord, where you can actually sit out and enjoy the food in the beautiful weather. So, I would encourage anybody who is interested in that, because diet and the foods, and making it sure that it's attainable, and making sure that we can sustain and have the sustainability in our culture or in our communities is so important. Because if we're just going to the large stuff, a lot of these small farmers in the area are gonna collapse, and that's huge. And that's one of the other things that the next guest helps to support. And he actually knows you a little bit, I believe. He knows you a little bit. And Brian from Johnson's Golden Harvest, his name is Brian Johnson, right down in Hooksett off exit. Is it exit 11, Brian?
Exit 11. Yep.
Exit 11. He sells at would you call it a farm stand?
It's like a farm stand, except that we're open year round and we don't actually grow anything. So I would call it more like a farm market, where we bring in a lot of different. We utilize a lot of different local farms for our
Right.
meat and produce. And
Yeah. And I know that I just recently bought some elk medallions. And I had made some. I actually gave you a taste of it. I cooked it and then and gave you a taste of it. But I love, it's like you can get these distinct like bison, elk, things of that nature there. Because, and it's all local. It's all local stuff that you can get. But also the vegetables, when I get my my greens and my sweet potatoes and things of that nature there, it's just fresh. It's like you had given me what was it, that huge bag of salad, the greens, like the baby greens, and you said, oh, that'll last a couple of weeks. And I know when I go into the supermarket, I buy it, and like within 2 days it's already wilting and dying. So the freshness and the nutritional value and the liveliness is so huge. And that's what Corey was referring to, is that there's an experimentation, but the foods, you get them fresh close and they just last longer. So tell me what intrigued you or helped you to come about starting this type of farmers market, so to speak, but situated year round.
So my wife and I actually met in a farm stand in Manchester. We've been married 30 years, and we met in a farm stand, well, 29 years, but we met in a farm stand in Manchester, where we both worked. And I started there in high school, and I really enjoyed it. Stayed there quite a few years. And then from there went on to work for the food service companies, Cisco, US Foods, etc. And then really came about to wanted to go back to something that I really enjoyed doing. The corporate thing was okay, but it was getting way too corporate for me. So basically we decided to open up we call it a farm stand, but a farm stand. And that's really where it was at. And I could see that, in the food service world, I could actually see the need for local, because more and more people that own restaurants, etc., even schools, whatever, there was becoming a much more interest in local foods, as opposed to, what do we source locally, as opposed to buying it from a food service company and nobody knows where it comes from, type of thing. So that was one of the things that actually led us into it.
Right. So and just the nutritive value, the value of the foods that you get, like Corey alluded to, it's huge. And the nutritive value, to be able to have people that understand. And I always tell people, if you're going to invest in something, because they'll say something along the lines, oh, it's expensive or something of that nature. But if you're going to invest in something, why don't you invest in your health? I mean, that's the biggest thing that we can do for ourselves, is to keep ourselves healthy and make sure we know where the foods, like you said, you have a unique outlook on it because you came from the corporate. And Corey, did you actually work in any sort of restaurants prior to opening your own place?
I did. It's been in the industry for 25 years. I've worked at plenty of restaurants. None of them corporate. They're all smaller individual places. So
and one of the things that you brought up, Brian, is that it's so local. It's so important for people to understand where they're coming from, that you had a love for it, you had a passion for it. And if I could pick out anything from what both of you guys said, this is not just something that you do for a job. Am I correct in yeah, it's correct. So you really enjoy what you do. How do you get your inspiration? I'll ask you, Brian, first, and then I'll ask Corey. How do you get your inspiration to continue doing what you're doing? And to, is there something an example that might that encourage you to say, this is why I do that?
Well, I think the biggest deal is that, I mean, you start getting to know the farmers, and you build these relationships, and then you bring in some of their products and you put something out, and you actually see the satisfaction. And really, it just takes one person, of somebody that comes to you and says, what, I'm so appreciative of what you do, because it's really changed my world and the way I look at eating and my health, and I'm really happy you're here. And I'm glad you guys are here, and glad you're doing what you do. And honestly, that just makes it all worth it.
Awesome. And what about you, Corey? What do you think? Is there something specific that comes to mind? Maybe an example of why you continue doing and how you love what you do?
Well, for me, it's just being part of the community, and being able to support local agriculture. personally I have my own garden space, and I really like enjoying doing that. But being part of the community and knowing our customers by name, and knowing our farmers by name, and really being able to connect the farmer with our guests, and really tell the farmer's story through the food that we prepare and serve it to the guests. It's really making that connection and educating our customers about farm to table and why it is important, not just for the community or the agriculture system, but your own body and your own health as well.
Yeah,
and let me add something too. One of the things I love about farm to table is it's never the same.
Right.
I like variety. I like different things. And, I know for a fact that some of the crops are going to taste a little bit different depending on the kind of winter and whatnot. So it's never the same. And I think that's what's exciting about it. The fact that, and Corey, and I'm sure you can go on with this, but it's a fun challenge to come up with something new. It's a fun challenge to try and put something creative and yummy and local on the menu, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the fun part.
Yeah. And it's this, like we were talking about the sustainability, but I liked what you said was that it's about education, it's long-term, it's understanding, connecting people. And just like Brian said, the same thing, it's connecting those people and understanding that they are healthier when they do those things. And again, it's you practice what you preach. You have your own garden. You're cooking. You're having your own food. You're having there are a lot of chefs out there that don't. You not only own the place, but you're a chef that cooks the foods and things of that nature. And then and I'm sure that Brian, you also partake in the foods that you get. We've talked about it, ad nauseum, so to speak, in the farm stand about how you love the foods that you get because you know how good they taste and how good they are. And have you, the only way I can explain it, like Nazi, what you said is there's something to it, but the food almost tastes like it's alive. Is that something that you guys can sort of touch to? It's like sort of like it has a vibrancy that other food doesn't have.
We got about 1 minute left.
Okay.
Yep. So go ahead, Brian.
Well, yeah, actually, it really, because for the most part, when the farms show up with a product, it was literally just picked, or just harvested. Sometimes within an hour,
Right.
You really can't beat that. It's just, and you eat something like that, and it's, it's day and night difference.
Right. And Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not sitting on a refrigerated truck coming from the West Coast.
Right.
It's super fresh that you can literally taste the difference. So.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And so I just want to thank you guys because this is so important that, my job at Infinite Health is not just to have people coming into my office and getting adjusted, but educating them. And, Nazi started at the beginning and he actually quoted the WHO meaning of health. And, we need to get this information out to people. And I thank you guys for being and standing for something that is phenomenal. So thank you very, 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 very much for being here with us, guys. And good luck with your reopening again, Corey.
Thank you.
Now, while we have a couple of seconds, Corey, give out your address so we can come visit you. And Brian, same question for you. Give out your address so we can visit your restaurant, and Brian, so we can visit your stand. So go ahead.
Revival Kitchen Bar is located at 11 Depot Street, Concord, New Hampshire, 715-5723 for reservations.
What days are you open?
Tuesday to Saturday.
There you go. All right. And Brian, same for you. Address so we can find you.
Johnson Golden Harvest, and we're located at 412 West River Road in Hooksett, New Hampshire, which is actually Route 3A. If you're coming down 93, just get off exit 11 and take a left at the bottom of the ramp, and we're right there on the left. Our phone number is 603-210-2031, and we're now there 7 days a week.
Love it. And of course, Dr. Sam, your new location, what's the address?
126 Loudon Road in Concord, New Hampshire. And you can go on our website, which is scrolling along the bottom, or our phone number is 603-753-4455. And I thank you guys because Infinite Health is only an adjustment away. And whatever you adjust, you got to live that dream lifestyle.
Excellent. Well said. Listen, we'll see you next time for Well Adjusted on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well,
That was